Now, after decades on the fringes, the UK Independence Party has been making headlines recently. Several good results in by-elections led to speculation about a coalition with the Conservatives.
The party also found itself in the middle of a row over fostering when children were taken out of the care of two members of the party because social workers believed it was a racist organisation. The party's leader, Nigel Farage, is taking advantage of the spotlight with fighting talk on how to deal with the economy, and he joins us from our Westminster studio. Morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us, as always. Can we just quickly talk about the foster parents? Have you spoken to them? What is the latest situation with them?
Well, the latest situation is that Rotherham Council have announced an inquiry, which on the face of it sounds good, but may well be an effort just to kick the can down the road. And what I find astonishing is there hasn't even been an apology yet from Rotherham Council in terms of the way they treated this couple, not to mention the way these children are being treated. And
the children are still with other foster parents at this point?
With other foster parents, and they've even been split up, which I think makes the whole thing even worse. So there are no winners in this at this moment in time.
And it's something you're pursuing, presumably, are you?
Yes, we are going to go on pursuing it, and I think we rather feel that we may have touched the tip of the iceberg. It seems that social services all over this country act for very political reasons, rather than putting the interest of children first.
Have you got evidence of that at this point, or are you looking at it?
Lots and lots of people getting in touch with us, saying that children are being removed from them over allegations of racism, not to mention the fact that some of those northern Labour-run councils deliberately turned a blind eye to some of the grooming scandals for fear of causing offence to the Asian community. So the overall picture we're getting is not a very pretty one.
Let's talk about the autumn statement, and you've been pretty bullish on this, saying that the government should, cut more. What sort of things are you talking about?
Well, I mean, for a start, we shouldn't be paying £53 million a day to the European Union. So that's 1% saved before you even start. And I think most of us look with incredulity at the fact that we've committed this week to spending £2 billion building wind turbines in Africa. I mean, for goodness sake, most of us don't even want to spend to build the things in England, let alone £2 billion to build them in Africa. And we ought to remember that during the Labour years, the public sector increased by nearly 1 million people. And we heard from Mr Cameron at the time of the last election that there was going to be a bonfire of the quangos. And in fact, all that's happened is there have been more quangos created. And many of these people working in regulatory agencies and quangos are actually having a dead hand effect over the British economy. So it's clear to us that actually some very big savings could be made.
There have been big cuts already, though, to public sector jobs as well, haven't there?
There have been some cuts to public sector jobs, but I think we need to get a handle on just where we are. I mean, it is frightening to think that the national debt at the moment is going up by 10% per annum. I mean, we are literally, with our current policies, stealing money from our children and grandchildren for whom it's going to take decades to pay back our current levels of overspending.
And just tell us, you know, from the economic point of view, so you're talking about big cuts to quangos, but where would growth come from under your policies?
Well, the Chancellor did do one or two good things, and I think encouraging the development of shale gas, good thing. Reducing corporation tax, good thing. But what he didn't do was address the issue that Britain's 4.2 million small businesses are talking about, and what they're saying is the current employment legislation regime is stopping them, is putting them off employing people, particularly taking on young school leavers, and we need some relaxation of those employment laws and a recognition that actually 60% of the jobs in the British economy come from firms that employ less than 10 people. They're the companies that need help, and they got nothing from this budget.
What sort of thing are you talking about? Are you talking about sacking people more easily? What do you mean?
I think that the ability to sack people without the fear of going to the industrial tribunal and the normal £5,000 payout, let alone the lawyers' fees, let alone the time you have to take away from your business. And I meet hundreds of small businesses every year who say we're not taking on anybody else, we can't afford the money, we can't afford the time. And legislation designed to protect employees is now actually stopping people getting jobs. especially young people, and we've got a youth unemployment rate in Britain now of 21%. We could do something about that.
You're sitting in front of a lovely picture of the Houses of Parliament. When do you think you're going to have an MP there? I mean, if we look at the last local elections, you did get that 21.8% of the vote in Rotherham. Same day only, though, 5.7% in Croydon North. You're some way off, aren't you?
Well, there was an opinion poll last Sunday that showed us nationally on 13% of the vote, but I think significantly in East Anglia on 21% of the vote. So it is clear that Eastern England is becoming the hotspot for UKIP votes. Let's see what happens. We've got big English county council elections coming up in May of next year. We're going to be fighting those on a much bigger and better scale than ever before. We're not yet in Westminster. The first past the post system is very cruel to us, but we are heading in the right direction.
Nigel Farage, leader of the UK Independence Party, thank you.